Hello again, ladies and gentlemen, Saka here, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for absolute beginners. And today, we are looking at what you get as a level 1 Sorcerer. Over the next few episodes, we'll be looking at the Sorcerer, the Warlock, and the Wizard, so if the Magic user is your cup of tea, then definitely stay tuned. The Sorcerer gets their magic not from studying, but they're just born with it. Their bloodline gives them the ability to use magic, and they can be pretty careless or pretty smart with their magic. The Sorcerer also has the ability in later levels to bend magic to their will and adjust the magic as they see fit, which is pretty cool indeed. The Sorcerer's spell casting ability is Charisma, so the player's handbook recommends that Charisma be your highest roll, so your spells have the highest chance of hitting. And then it recommends Constitution as your second highest roll because, as you can see here, your hit dice is only 1d6. So you might start with only 6 hit points if you skimp out on Constitution. There are also some things to be said about dexterity as well. If you pick a certain bloodline, you'll see why that's important, but definitely your charisma should be your top number. Constitution, I wouldn't skimp out on. Third should probably be dexterity. As with a monk, the Sorcerer is not proficient in wearing any armor of any kind, just robes, loosey-goosey, nice and free. The Sorcerer does not want to be kept behind any leather or metal of any kind, just standard cloth will do. The Sorcerer can fight back with weapons if so desired. They are proficient in daggers, darts, slings, which I don't have a card for, unfortunately, quarterstaffs, and crossbows. So depending on if you want to keep track of ammunition, or say you carry a quarterstaff, it's versatile, so you can use it with 2 hands and get some extra damage with it. Or the darts and daggers work off of finesse, so you can use your dexterity modifier for your attack roll versus your strength, which is pretty good. You're also not proficient with any tools of any kind, so the Sorcerer is definitely a magic-focused class with a backup stabby stab if the need arises, but magic is where their wheelhouse is. Their 2 saving throws are Constitution and Charisma, so your proficiency bonus will be added to that saving throw. So where you put your highest numbers is also your saving throw, so if you are a Sorcerer, there's a good chance you can stave off the effects from a Charisma-based spell or a Constitution check. As far as your skills you are proficient in, they're right down here at the bottom of the character sheet. Religion, Insight, Deception, Intimidation, and Persuasion. You get to choose from 2 of these. Your charisma-based one should be pretty high right out of the get-go, as this will be your highest roll. If you wanted to help out your insight, you could do that if you didn't put so much into wisdom. Same thing with arcana and religion. If you didn't put much in intelligence or they're your dump stat, you can try to boost those up, or you could definitely go for broke and put everything in a couple of charisma-based skills to be one charismatic character. Your starting equipment, you get a light crossbow with 20 ammunition, or you can choose from a simple weapon. So quarterstaff or dart are good choices as you're proficient, and the crossbow, you're also proficient with that, so that is a good choice for range as well. You can choose between a component pouch or an arcane focus. So your component pouch is where you're going to be collecting the things needed to cast the spells that you know. The arcane focus can act as your component, so a medallion or staff, just something you can channel the magic through. You also get a Dungeoneer's pack or an Explorer's pack, and you also get 2 daggers to hang off your belt as well. So you can throw them if you would like, or if you're set with range with the light crossbow, you can use the dagger for up close and personal stabby stab if you get disadvantage with your spells. Now, you do not have a spell book as a Sorcerer, you just know spells, and you can choose from any 4 of the following cantrips right out of the gate. We have the Acid Splash. Choose a creature within 60 feet or 2 creatures within range that are within 5 feet of each other. So you can splash 2 creatures. The target must succeed on a dex saving throw or take 1d6 acid damage. We have the Blade Ward, extend your hand. Until the end of your next turn, you have resistance against the bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage by weapon attacks. The Chilled Touch, a skeletal hand in the space of a creature within 120 feet. Make a ranged attack. On a hit, it takes 1d8 necrotic, and it cannot regain hit points until the start of your next turn. Until then, the hand clings on the target. If it is undead, it also has disadvantage on attack rolls on you until the end of the next turn, so if you want to dabble in some necromancy. We also have the Dancing Lights, 4 torch-sized lights within range of 120 feet, and they are torches, lanterns, or glowing orbs that provide a little bit of light. We have Firebolt, 120 feet instantaneous range spell attack that is using your charisma. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 fire damage, and a flammable object hit by the spell ignites it. We have Friends. For the duration, you have advantage on all charisma checks directed at one creature that isn't hostile towards you. And with your massive charisma modifiers, and if you took deception or persuasion as proficiency bonuses, couple that with Friends, you are one convincing person. You also have Light. On touch, no larger than 10 feet, and it sheds a 20-foot radius light. We also have your tried and true Mage Hand, your spectral floating hand that can manipulate objects 30 feet away. We have Mending, which repairs breaks and tears, makes things appear as they were brand new, but 1 foot cube is the size of that spell. You can also message, point your finger towards a creature and whisper a message, and they can reply to that whisper. We also have up here your Minor Illusion spell, a sound or an image within 30 feet that fits within a 5-foot cube. It can be voices, it can be an object, it can be anything, but if people interact with it, they know it is an illusion. You have your Poison Spray, 10 feet range, Constitution saving throw, or take 1d12 poison damage. Prestidigitation creates a sensory effect. Think sight, smell, taste, or sound. Just something off in the distance that may be used to trick an enemy or friend. A Ray of Frost, a ranged spell attack, and on a hit, it takes 1d8 cold damage, and its speed is reduced by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. You also have the Shocking Grasp, the lightning that springs from your hand on touch, and you have advantage on the attack roll if they are wearing armor made of metal. On the hit, it takes 1d8 lightning, and it cannot take reactions, so that is things like attacks of opportunity or any readied attack that it was holding. We also have last in the cantrip list, the True Strike. Your magic grants you a brief insight into target defense. You gain advantage on your first attack roll against the target, provided the spell hasn't ended, and that is 1 round concentration. So that is getting yourself ready to attack the next round, and you have advantage on the roll. So those are the level 0, essentially, cantrips for your sorcerer. You can cast those at any time, as much as you want, and you get to choose 4. Getting in the meat and potatoes of the sorcerer, the level 1 spells, you get to choose 2 that you know for the duration of that level. First of all is Burning Hands in a 15-foot cone. They make a dexterity saving throw. They take 3d6 fire damage on a fail, or half as much on a successful, and once again it ignites flammable objects. You can charm a person within 30 feet for 1 hour. It makes a wisdom saving throw and does so with advantage if you are fighting it, but if they are a lone person walking through the woods and they haven't seen you, you can charm them for up to an hour. If it fails the saving throw, it is charmed until the spell ends, that is 1 hour, or you do anything harmful to it. Next is the Chromatic Orb, 90 feet range and instantaneous cast, a 4-inch diameter sphere of energy of a creature you can see, and your choice of acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder damage, and make the ranged spell attack, and upon a hit, it takes 3d8 damage. You have your color spray, a 15-foot cone for a round, flashing colored lights. You roll a d6 or 6 d10s. The total is how many hit points that the spell can affect. Creatures within that 15-foot cone are affected in ascending order of their current hit points, ignoring unconscious creatures. Starting with the lowest hit points, each creature is affected is blinded. So if you've got 2 goblins and a beholder, it hits the goblins first, up to their hit points, and if it has more hit points that it hasn't used, it will try to blind the beholder up until their total hit points there. Comprehend languages on self for an hour. You understand the literal meaning of any spoken language that you hear, and also understand any language that you hear. You also understand a written language that you see, but must be touching the surface that the words are written. So if you have a book in your hand that you cannot read, you can cast this, or even use it as a ritual and not even take a spell slot, but it does take an hour. You can detect magic on yourself, concentration for up to 10 minutes, and you can sense the presence of magic within 30 feet, and you see it as an aura. And once you see it, you can learn its school of magic. You can disguise self if you're the sneaky, underhanded type, to make yourself, clothing, armor, weapons, and belongings look different for an hour. And it's kind of like the minor illusion spell. You are still under this ruse. If they try to touch your face, but you minor illusioned yourself taller, their hand would just pass through, and they would know that it is an illusion. Expeditious retreat on yourself allows you to move at an incredible pace, and then you can use your bonus action to dash, which is move your speed as a bonus action. So essentially moving and then moving your entire distance again and still having your attack ready to go. False life. A necromantic facsimile of life. You gain 1d4 plus 4 temporary hit points for the duration. So if you're going to be in the thick of things and you might need to heal yourself, you can give yourself a necrotic false 1d4 plus 4 hit points. You can cast Featherfall, 5 creatures within 60 feet, and the rate of descent slows to 60 feet per round until the spell ends. If the creature lands before the spell ends, that is a minute, it takes no falling damage and lands on its feet. You can Fog Cloud 120 feet away, a 20-foot radius sphere of fog. The sphere spreads around corners and areas heavily obscured. It lasts the duration, up to an hour, or if a wind blows it away. We also have Jump. You touch a creature and its jump distance is triple until the spell ends for a minute. You can cast Mage Armor for 8 hours. You touch a willing creature who isn't wearing armor, and the protective force surrounds it. AC is 13 plus its dex. If the spell ends, if it puts on armor, or you dismiss it. You can cast Magic Missile 120 feet away. 3 glowing darts of force. It deals 1d4 plus 1 force damage to its target, and all strike simultaneously, and you can direct them to hit one creature or several. So you've got three projectiles that you're pointing. Where are they going? The Ray of Sickness is a greenish energy 60 feet away. You make the ranged spell attack, and on a hit it does 2d8 poison and must make a Constitution saving throw. If it fails its con save, it is also poisoned until the end of your next turn, meaning disadvantage on spell checks and attacks. You can cast Shield. It is a reaction, meaning if the conditions are met, you cast it, in which you are attacked or targeted by the Magic Missile spell. So if you are fighting a fellow sorcerer who uses Magic Missile, your invisible barrier force appears and protects you. And you have +5 bonus to AC, including against a triggering attack, and you take no damage from Magic Missile. So for that entire round, you get that bonus that's kicked off by Magic Missile. Hopefully the sorcerer attacks you first. You're hit with Magic Missile. That doesn't do any damage, and for that entire round, you get +5 bonus to your armor. You can cast a silent image of an object, creature, or other visible thing that's no larger than 15 feet. 60 feet away, and you can move it around, but physical interaction reveals it to be an illusion. You can cast Sleep, which you roll 5d8 in a 90-foot radius, 20-foot circle, and starting with the lowest hit points first. If you roll enough numbers to cover up their hit points, they will go to sleep. Thunder Wave is a 15-foot cube from yourself, an instantaneous thunder force from you, and each must make a Constitution saving throw. And on a fail, it takes 2d8 thunder damage and is pushed away 10 feet. So if you are getting swarmed, a Thunder Wave is a good push spell. Witch Bolt. Last but not least, from 30 feet away, a beam of crackling energy lances out to a creature within that 30 feet, forming arc lightning. You make your spell attack against a creature, and on the hit, it takes 1d12 lightning, and on each of your turns, for the duration, that is concentration for 1 minute. That is 10 rounds. As long as you're concentrating, you can use your action to deal another 1d12 lightning damage auto-magically. The spell ends if you use your action to do anything else, and the spell ends if the target is ever outside that 30 feet or if it jumps behind total cover. But if you are following some poor schmuck around corners, staying within that 30 feet, and only doing this spell, 1d12, bam, 1d12, bam, for 10 solid rounds. So that is pretty powerful stuff. As you can see here, what we just talked about at first level, you know 4 cantrips of your choice from the list, and you also know 2 first level spells. Your charisma modifier is your spell casting DC. Your proficiency bonus plus charisma is when you're making those attacks, and if you are making or forcing them to make a save, that is 8 plus your proficiency plus your charisma. That's the number they have to beat to not be affected by the spell. And you can use a spellcasting focus, such as a medallion or wand, as a focus instead of components. And for the Sorcerer, we get to go a little bit extra. When you're at first level, you declare which origin that you are from. There is the Draconic bloodline, and there is the Wild Magic bloodline. If you choose the Draconic bloodline at first level, your hit point maximum increases by 1 and increases by 1 again whenever you gain a level. So it's your Constitution plus your D6 plus 1 every level. And if you aren't wearing any armor, your armor class is 13 plus Dex. So that's why a high dexterity number is paramount to make sure that you do not get hit. Also, you choose your Ancestral Dragon, and the damage type that is associated is used by features that you gain later. So acid, lightning, fire, poison, and cold. You can also speak, read, and write in Draconic, and whenever you make a charisma check when interacting with dragons, your proficiency is doubled if it applies to the check. If you choose Wild Magic, you get to bring in the RNG table, as you can see here. So when you cast a spell at first level, you roll a d20. If it lands on a 1, you use the Magical Surge table to see what happens. So say you cast Silent Image at a level 1. You immediately roll a d20, and if it rolls a 1, you roll a percentile dice, or 2 d10s. The first d10 will be in the 10s, the second d10 will be in the 1s. So say you roll a 29 on that next roll, you can now teleport up to 60 feet to an unoccupied space of your choice that you can see. Poof, instantly done. And you know, this chart is pretty interesting. So that is sort of the trade-off, because you're not really in control of your spells. You're just flinging them, and there are repercussions to bad control. Also, starting at first level, you manipulate the force of chance and chaos to gain advantage on just one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw, and you must long rest before you use this again. So it could be a get out of jail free card, or if you know the boss is about dead but you miss your attack roll, you can invoke the Tides of Chaos to re-roll. Anytime before you regain the use of this feature, you roll the Wild Surge table immediately when you cast that first level spell, and then regain the use of the feature. So if you don't want to rest, you say screw it, I'm going to roll the dice, and whatever happens, happens, and I will get my Tides of Chaos back. So some definite flavor for the Sorcerer, a very unique class, as you can see, as we covered some RNG, a lot of spells to choose from, and over the next few classes, the Warlock and the Wizard, we're going to see some more magic, but different ways of casting and different ways of approaching. So if you like a little chance in your life, or you want to be of dragon blood and you want to use magic at your disposal, then the Sorcerer is for you. So next episode we will be discussing the Warlock, but until then, like, share, and subscribe if you are so bold. Thank you so much for tuning in, and for our Sorcerer, I will see you in the next video. Take care.